Hello and welcome. Thank you everyone for coming to this study abroad info session. We're going to be doing sort of an overview of study abroad at DePaul and also talking about our first year abroad programs, which are special study abroad programs for first year students. So I'm assuming that most of you here are probably first year students. And you can feel free to have your video on if you would like, or you can have it off, no problem. Let me just kind of get things going here. All right. All right, so I'm going to just kind of start things off with a quick video, and then we'll start kind of talking a little bit about things. And if anyone does have questions along the way, feel free to throw those into the chat, or you can just, speak up. But if you put things in the chat, I will have that open as well. So, all right, let me just enable the sound here so that everybody can hear the video. We'll go from there. And I'm planning on this being probably about a half an hour in length, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and such as well. So. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hockley from Sandy Hook Promise. I know this is hard to hear, but it's important.
Ok, j'ai posé une question.
All right, so a little something to kind of get us in the study abroad mood as we get started here. Let a couple more people in and then we'll kind of get going. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm going to do sort of an overview of study abroad at DePaul and then talk about our first year programs as well. So really glad to have all of you here today. It's obviously been a rough year for us, like it has for so many people over this past year and a half with COVID. We had to stop almost all of our programs. We did have the opportunity to have a very small handful of students being able to study abroad this past academic year. And we actually had a number of virtual study abroad opportunities that we put together for students to still get international experiences without actually traveling abroad. Luckily, we're at a point now where, we are definitely not out of the pandemic yet, but a lot of countries are now allowing vaccinated tourists to come in and enabling us to be able to send a lot more people abroad. So this fall, we have a pretty healthy group of students that are abroad, and we've got more programs coming in December and as we plan into next year. So we are slowly building our study abroad programming back up, hoping to get more and more closer to full strength as the year progresses and moving into next year as well. So with that said in mind, in terms of why study abroad, an interesting stat I think that most people don't know, only 2% of American students study abroad. With it being such a big thing in the news and something that so many people talk about, it's still a very, very small minority of students who actually study abroad. And at DePaul, we actually have almost 12% of our students who study abroad before they graduate. So we're really proud of the opportunities that we're able to offer to our DePaul students. In a normal year, we have over 1,100 students who will go abroad on over 80 programs in usually 40 countries. So a really wide variety of opportunities for our students. As you think about studying abroad, there's a lot of different reasons to study abroad. So some of the things to think about, just, what do you want to get out of it? How does it fit into your plans? And are you interested in more academic reasons, more career reasons, personal reasons? There's no right answer, and everybody comes into their study abroad experience sort of with different goals in mind and different things that they might need from their program. So as you think about all of those things, that will help you sort of identify from the tons of programs that we've got, which ones might be the best ones for you. And that's something that all the advisors in our office can also help with as well. From an employer perspective, just career-wise, overwhelming majority of employers say that study abroad is something that's really important that they look for, or it's at least an important skill that they consider when they're evaluating people for positions. And it helps distinguish you. And that's something where, again, that 2%, when only 2% of college graduates are typically studying abroad, when you've got that experience on your resume, it does help you stick out. And there was a big study that was done a few years ago, basically looking at job readiness for people after they graduate. And study abroad students, get jobs much more quickly. And then there's not another slide on this, but also have higher salaries, entry-level salaries typically, than students who did not study abroad. So there's some really good career benefits also to be studying abroad. So in terms of how to select a program, here at DePaul, we've got a lot of different types of programs. I want to give you a quick overview of sort of what those are. We have two basic types of programs, and those are called term-long programs and short-term programs. Our term-long programs are programs where you are abroad for a whole quarter or longer. And some of those may even be up to a full academic year. And those are programs where we have partner universities or partner institutions in other countries, and you will go there for 4 months, 5 months, or again, up to even a whole academic year in a couple of cases. And you take all your classes there. You're going to be living there fully as a student there for that amount of time. We work with you before you go to make sure you've got everything all set up with the right courses you're going to take and to know how those credits are going to transfer back to DePaul. And it's a full experience where you're there for a long amount of time. In a normal year, we have a good 30 or more of those experiences taking place in all different locations around the world. The other type of programs that we have at DePaul are called short-term programs. And these are really great options for students who can't go abroad for a whole quarter or longer. And the way that these work are, you will take a class in Chicago or potentially 2 classes, and attached to that class is a short study abroad experience that happens over the break. So imagine it's fall. You're taking a class in the fall and you're starting to learn about a certain international topic. And then everybody in the class and your professor at the end of the fall quarter would then go abroad for a couple of weeks at the start of December to be studying in a location the things that you've been talking about in Chicago. So for these programs, you're just in Chicago doing a normal set of classes throughout the quarter, but then on the break, whether that's December or spring break or the start of the summer, you will then go with the whole class or your professor to have some kind of a study abroad experience that's normally between 1 to 3 weeks in length. And in a normal year, again, we have more than 50 of those to choose from. Most of the colleges offer them. Some of them are designed for the majors within the colleges, but a lot of them just knock out other requirements that most students need to take, or your experiential learning requirement. So there's great options with all different types of topics and academic themes and locations to choose from for those short-term programs. As you think about different programs, other things you might want to think about, what's the housing situation on the longer programs? Sometimes you're in a homestay, sometimes you're in a residence hall, sometimes you're in an apartment. Some of the programs have really strong on-site support where you're in a longer program and there's a whole international office at the school that you're going to be studying at that's there. Other ones, you're more just sort of like an exchange student at the school and there's maybe not as much support. And some students want more support and other students want a more independent experience. We've got some programs that have internship components or service learning components. All the programs have different courses involved. And so you'll want to see kind of what courses are associated with the program that you're looking at. And then of course, cost. All of our programs cost different amounts based on what's included in the course, in the program, and where the program is located. On our website, as you look at each program, there's a very detailed cost page that tells you exactly what each program costs and what's included and not. So that's something that you'll really want to look at as you're identifying programs. One of the biggest pieces of advice I can give is to plan early. We have some students who wait until their junior year to start thinking about this, and that's fine. And there's still maybe opportunities available for you. But if you wait that long, you might find that, oh gosh, the couple of programs I'm most interested in, the courses that I get credit for in this program are ones that I took last year already. And if I'd known, I wouldn't have taken those courses last year. I would have waited and done it on my study abroad program. So starting the plan in your first year is really, really important. It helps you see kind of how to map out when you might want to study abroad, what courses you might get for it. So you make sure not to take those now, because you're going to save them for your study abroad experience. We've even got, for the long programs, a whole course equivalency page for each program where you can look and see on this program, here's a whole bunch of courses that students in the past have taken and what DePaul credits they got for it. So it makes it really helpful for you to be able to look and see exactly what type of options there are and how they might fit into your degree progress. And we've got advisors in our study abroad office, and then you've also got your regular academic advisors. Your academic advisors are really great at showing how courses are going to fit into your overall degree progress for graduation. And we can help with that a little bit, but what we really can do well is tell you which courses you'll be able to get and what credit you'll be able to get for the different study abroad programs that you're looking at. So with our office, you can make an appointment with one of our advisors, and we'll do a really good job of working with you to narrow down the programs you're looking at, see what courses are available and sort of what works for you. And then your academic advisors can help figure out how that fits into your schedule, so you can make sure you're knocking out the proper requirements at the proper time and making sure that it's not going to impact your graduation date. So working together with study abroad and your academic advisor is the key to kind of doing some good early. As I mentioned, some of the programs will knock out different requirements for majors, but a lot of them will get rid of some of your normal liberal studies program requirements that most students have to take. So as you look at the liberal studies program, these are all the different liberal studies program requirements, and different majors have different requirements, slightly different than this, but in general, you've got this core curriculum and these learning domains. And the green ones show all the different learning domains and core curriculum places where you can actually fulfill these by studying abroad. So if you, for example, have not done your historical inquiry learning domain yet, and that's one of the things that you need to get in order to graduate, you can go onto the study abroad website, and there's a page where you can search for programs, and you can put in there historical inquiry, and boom, it will bring up a list. Here are all the study abroad programs that actually will give you credit for that. So it's a really great way to look at those requirements that you still have, search for that on our page, and figure out sort of which ones might be the best fit. We also, almost all of the programs we do also can give you credit for your experiential learning requirement, which again is a requirement that most students need before they graduate. So that experiential learning requirement is a really key one that you'll be able to get credit for in most cases, for the longer programs and for the shorter ones. And each of the programs as well on their program page will talk through kind of which of these requirements it fills. In terms of the timeline, as I mentioned, as soon as possible, you want to kind of do your planning. Typically, about a year before a program starts is when the applications are going to open, and about 6 months prior to a program starting is when the deadlines will be to apply for programs. So for summer programs, fall programs, and programs that are a full academic year in length, February 1st is the application deadline. For December programs, winter programs, or programs that are winter and spring quarters, May 1st is the deadline. And then the one that's coming up most quickly now is our spring break deadline. So for spring break programs and spring programs, there aren't very many spring only programs, but for primarily spring break programs, November 1st is the deadline. So those are the ones to kind of keep in mind as you're looking when to do your planning. In terms of scholarships, we do have study abroad scholarship funding that is available for a lot of our programming, for almost all of our programs. For most of the study abroad scholarships for our general scholarship fund, there's no specific application that you need to do. So all you need to do is apply for your study abroad program and get your application in by November 1st, February 1st, or May 1st. And as long as you do that, you'll automatically be considered for a scholarship. There are some additional scholarships on top of that, and we have a scholarships page that has a lot of detail about those, that some of those you do need to apply for specifically. They may be for certain majors or certain types of programs or a lot of external scholarships. But for our main study abroad scholarships, you just have to apply for the program and you automatically get considered. Once you've applied and you find out if you've gotten accepted, you will also find out if you did get a scholarship, and if you did, how much that scholarship is for. And those scholarships can range up all the way up to about $5,000. So depending on the program. In terms of finding the right program, I mentioned this a little bit. Our Study Abroad website has a ton of information. So if you haven't been on there, take some time to poke around. There's a search for DePaul programs page where you can search by time of year. You can search by type of program. You can search by location. You can search by short versus long program. And each of the program pages has got very, very detailed information about the program. There's also an advanced search page where you can pick different characteristics. So maybe you're going to say, hey, I want to go on a spring break program and I want it to give me my religious dimensions credits. Are there any that do that? And you can put in multiple different search features and it'll pop up a list of, hey, here are the 3 programs that will do that for you. So definitely take some time on our website and they take some time on the website. Oh, you guys. All right. Yeah, we sort of talked about this already. I'm looking at the different requirements and which courses to take. And your academic advisor and study abroad advisor can both help with that. In terms of the cost of programs, all of our study abroad programs have 2 pieces of cost. The first cost is the tuition for the program. The second part is the program fee. For the tuition for the program, that's the actual what you pay for the classes. And if you don't go over 18 credit hours in your quarter, then that is just treated like normal DePaul classwork. So you don't pay anything extra for that. You can use all of your financial aid. So it just looks like regular DePaul classes. So in most cases, as long as you don't go over 18 credit hours, you don't actually have to pay anything additional for tuition. What you do pay then is the program fee. The program fee is the cost for actually doing the program. And that varies by program. There are different program fees for different programs depending on what they include. On the short-term programs, a lot of those programs include your flight as well as your housing, a lot of your meals and all the activities you do. On the longer programs, usually you're paying for your own flight, but that program fee might include housing or it might not. So just make sure you look at those fees and see what's included and not, and that gives you a good idea. And as I mentioned, those DePaul scholarships apply to all of the DePaul programs that you apply for. And there's other external scholarships as well. All right, I'm going to take a little time now to talk about the first year program. So let me just share video on here, and then I will show you a short 2-minute video, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the first year programs.
The ideal college search ends with you finding an A+ school in an A+ city, and that's exactly what you'll find.
Hold on. This one doesn't have an ad going on. Are you a first-year student interested in studying abroad? No problem. DePaul has special first-year abroad programs with scholarships available.
Studying abroad offers somebody a whole new set of experiences. Just being somewhere new by yourself with students away from home can teach you a lot about yourself.
As a first-year student at DePaul, you can complete your Focal Point Seminar, LSP 112, through Study Abroad. You can take a Focal Point Seminar on campus in winter quarter, and then you'll travel abroad with your professor and classmates for a week during spring break. Or take a Focal Point Seminar during spring quarter, then travel abroad for a week at the start of the summer. For a list of all the first-year abroad programs, check out the DePaul Study Abroad website.
The
first year abroad programs are a great chance for freshmen or first year students to meet new people. I know that's a big thing for a lot of freshmen. It's important to a lot of people because you're kind of starting over, you don't really know anybody. The study abroad programs are a good way to kind of immerse yourself, and so you really make a good connection with people and kind of find your place.
The application deadline for spring break programs is November 1st, and the deadline for summer programs is February 1st. DePaul also has special first-year abroad scholarships available, including specific scholarships for students of color and first-generation students.
I studied abroad my first year through the FY Abroad program. I think it was one of the best decisions of my career, just because not only did I get to meet a lot of cool people and get new mentors and really get the travel bug, but it was one of the coolest things I could have ever done.
All right. So that's a little bit about the first year program, and I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of depth about that. As I mentioned in the video, these programs take place for first year students. A lot of good reasons that you're at DePaul that you should be thankful for, but one of them is we're one of a very small number of schools that offer special study abroad programming for first year students. It is not typical at most schools, but we've created a program that's been around for about 12 years now that gives you a chance to study abroad on a short study abroad program in your first year, connected to coursework that for most students is a required course in their year. So you can take courses in the winter quarter and then you'll travel during spring break, or in the spring quarter and you'll travel in mid to late June. If you're an honor students don't have to take the focal point seminar, but each of these study abroad programs for the first year students, we have worked with the honors program and you get specific honors credit for them. So if you're an honor student, we have a bunch of honor students who do these every year, and they will get rid of a specific one of your honors requirements as well, which is great. And there is special scholarship funding for this, which we'll talk about kind of in a few minutes. So this year, we're going to have 6 programs offered for first year students. 2 of them are going to happen during spring break, and 4 of them are going to happen at the start of the summer. So the first 2 programs, they're going to take place with the course in winter quarter with the travel in spring break. And for a lot of you, you're probably taking the Chicago quarter class right now, your Discover or Explore class. And it works kind of the same way. When you registered for that class, there were about 100 different sections, all different topics. You picked one that sounded interesting to you. For these focal point seminars, it works the same way in winter and spring, where there's all combined about 100 sections of focal point seminar, again, with different topics taught by faculty from all around the university. And what we've done is add a study abroad component to 6 of those focal point seminars. So in winter quarter, there are 2 courses that will have a study abroad component traveling during spring break. The first is the Ecuador program. That's going to be taught by Windsor Aguirre, who is from the biology department. He's going to be taking students to 3 different regions of Ecuador to study biodiversity and the extinction crisis. So really cool opportunity to see different parts of this pretty amazing country and explore what biodiversity means as you travel through Ecuador. Our second program for spring break is going to be taught by Barbara Schaefer. She's taught this program to Ireland many times over the years, traveling around to several different cities in Ireland, looking at travel literature and travel writing, particularly with Irish writers. But really cool program where you get to see several different places in Ireland, bigger cities, smaller towns, and kind of exploring literature and writing while you do that. And so for both of these programs, you have to apply by November 1st to be considered. So you've got this next month to get your application in if you're interested. The next 4 are all with coursework in the spring quarter and then travel at the start of summer. And that travel happens right away at the end of the quarter. So it's going to be spring quarter is going to happen. You'll do your final exams. And then right after that weekend, you'll go. So the travel will happen in mid to late June and be done by the end of June for sure. 4 programs. The first one's going to be taught by Maggie Workman, who is from environmental science. She's going to be taking students to London, studying kind of the history and life of Charles Darwin as he released the theory of evolution, and looking at sort of where history, science, and religion all came together as this happened. So it's a really cool program. And within the class that she's going to do in Chicago, there's going to be like a historical role-playing component of the class for several weeks, which is going to be pretty interesting. But then in England, you'll be going to London and doing day trips outside of London, sort of exploring all of this throughout London. The Italy program will be taught by Mike Taffel, who's from the history department. This program is going to go to Rome and Florence, each for about 5 days, looking at a historical sort of view of Rome and how Rome's legacy has sort of played out in centuries by visiting Rome and Florence and visiting lots of interesting sites. The Jerusalem program is going to be led by Lisa Mahoney from History of Art and Architecture. And it's a real dive into the city of Jerusalem. So looking at Jerusalem from all perspectives, from historical, anthropological, archaeological, religious, but just really looking at everything that Jerusalem has to offer and the history and how that has all played out as we explore this really interesting city in the Middle East. And then the last program is our Scotland program, led by Heather Easley from the sociology department. She's going to be taking students to multiple cities throughout Scotland, traveling around Scotland, looking at politics and social issues, how those have played out historically, how they're playing out today, looking at like the Scottish separatist movement, meeting with political party leaders, and really kind of getting a cool view of sort of politics and social issues in Scotland. So 6 really different programs. Hopefully at least one of them sort of piques your interest. As you're looking to apply, you basically need to choose the one that you're most interested in as you apply. And when you do your application, there will be a question that says, what would be backup choices for you? So you could list a second or a third choice. And so that's a way that if you are interested in more than one, you can indicate that. So technically you could apply for one of the spring break programs and one of the summer programs. But we would want you to kind of pick the one that you think is the most likely for you and then kind of list your backup choices in your application on that question. In terms of applying, like we said, November 1st is the deadline for the spring break programs. February 1st is for the summer programs. But even if you're looking at one of the summer ones, I encourage you to get your application started now. We've already had a bunch of students doing their applications. It's good to get it in there and get it submitted. The process is pretty straightforward. You'll go on the Study Abroad website. Each of the programs has a detailed page that gives you all the information about the program, and there will be a little apply now button there that you click on. And then there's just a number of questions that you fill out that are pretty straightforward. Just, why are you interested in this program? How does it relate to what you want to do here at DePaul? Things like that. You also are required to have one recommendation, and that either needs to be from a faculty member at DePaul, or we know that as first year students, you don't know as many faculty. So it could also be a high school teacher or a high school counselor that could do your recommendation. But I know a lot of the Discover, Explore faculty in particular, you get to know really well, and a lot of them are very, very happy to do your recommendation. So I would say talk to one of them or one of the other faculty this fall if you can, but if not, it can be a high school teacher or counselor. They don't need to write you a whole recommendation letter or anything like that. All you do in the application, it asks for their email address. We send them a little online link where they just answer a handful of questions. It's very quick. So it's not a big commitment for them to write you this big letter. It's a super quick online recommendation that they do. And as I mentioned before, there's no special scholarship application. As long as you apply by November 1st or February 1st, you'll automatically be considered. And we do have additional scholarship funding for these first year programs. So we do our best to try to support as many of the students on the first year programs as we can to be able to do it. Cost-wise, I talked a little bit about how that works already with the tuition and the program fee. For these first year programs, the typical cost of these programs is around $3,000. Some are a little bit less, some are a little bit more. All of them include the flights, your lodging, all your activities, your study abroad insurance, as well as a good number of your meals. So they're very comprehensive. On top of that, it's basically spending money and some assorted small things, but it really covers almost everything that you need. And the scholarship funding that we have ranges from $1,000 up to, in some cases, almost the entire cost of the program. So even the lowest scholarships for these first year programs are going to be about $1,000 and knock off a third of the cost of the price. And those highest ones could cover almost everything. We have students every year who, almost didn't apply and say, thank goodness I applied because then I found out I actually got a great scholarship and I was able to do it. There is no application fee or commitment to apply to the program. So if you're in doubt, do an application, apply, see if you get accepted, see if you get a scholarship and how much it's for. And at that point, then you can decide, hey, do I want to move forward or am I not going to be able to do it? Yeah, so in terms of next steps, our Study Abroad website, as I mentioned, has a ton of information on it. So please take some time and take a look. I'm actually going to quickly go there right now. Just to sort of show you, I'm not going to navigate all over, but as you see on our website, There's a search for DePaul programs page where you can in detail look at term long programs, short-term programs. This is the first year abroad programs page. You can look at Identities Abroad, which is a new program that we're starting, community engagement programs, internship programs. There's also student stories on here. We've got a whole page called the Sojournal, and this is tons of student stories. It's all posts from students who have studied abroad about their experiences. So it's just really cool stories that you can read that the students have shared. There's a lot of detailed information in here. For students, we do have Study Abroad 101 sessions every day. This basically is Study Abroad 101 session, so no need to do that. But there's also in here about who the program contacts are in our office. So if you want to go on a certain program, you can say, oh, this is the contact person in the Study Abroad office. You can schedule a Blue Star appointment. On the short programs, these are all the people who work on the short programs if you want to shoot them an email with a question that you have. And then tons of other information in here on financial aid and scholarships, health and safety. So a lot of really good stuff to be looking at on our website. Talk to your academic advisor, talk to a study abroad advisor, make an appointment. If you have financial aid questions, you can talk to someone from the financial aid department, and then apply to a program. And I'll say as well, we have a lot of students who study abroad multiple times. These first year programs, if you're interested in one of them, about half the students who do one of these first year programs end up studying abroad again before they graduate from DePaul. So we've had students do 2, 3, 4 programs before they graduate. It all gets to do with your planning and kind of planning ahead. We're going to have specific info sessions as well for the 6 first year abroad programs, as well as for a lot of other programs that are out there. So if you want to kind of write down these, or they're on our website as well, but coming up over these next few weeks, each of these programs is going to have their own info session. So if you're interested in one of them, you can come. The faculty member who's leading the program is going to be there to get really in depth about what's happening in the program, answer your questions. And I'll show you as well, if you go to the Study Abroad homepage, as I was mentioning before, there's a link right here to upcoming info sessions. And if you just click right on that, this shows you all the different sessions that are happening in the weeks ahead. And we update this page every week. So there's going to be, a session on financing your study abroad experience. It gets more in depth about that. There's going to be some alumni talking about their career options that they've kind of explored based on their study abroad. And then, all of these first year programs, as well as a number of other programs. So keep checking back here, and you'll see as well, it gives the information on how to register and go to the Zoom link. And then I just figured I'm going to end with another little quick video, and then I'll have some time for questions. This was, we have a video contest every year, and this is from a few years ago, one of our video contest winners, and it's just kind of a fun video to watch. Oh, gotta get through an advertisement, it looks like first.
With MailChimp, you can create more engaging emails that can help drum up more tasty dumpling sales.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Oh, we moved on to another video here. Hold on. All right. So yes, any questions that people have, that's kind of the brief overview. So if you have questions about how specific programs work or how the first year programs work, you can throw them in the chat. Yes, I see here, what portion of study abroad applicants are offered scholarships? Hard to say a percentage because it can vary every year and every term, but I will say this, we award our scholarships based on 2 criteria. We look at financial need and we look at your academics. And we work on financial need through the financial aid office. So they let us know your specific financial aid information based on the FAFSA. And then your academic progress is based on your GPA. So if you are a student who has a strong GPA and you've got high financial need through your FAFSA from the financial aid office, those are the people that are going to be most likely to get scholarship funding. And we do as much as we can to take the pool of money we have and spread it as far down as we can to help as many students as possible with the funding that we do have. International students in terms of scholarship eligibility, if you do not have a FAFSA on file with the financial aid office, we're not able to assess your financial needs. So in most cases, international students are not eligible for the general study abroad scholarship. There are some outside other scholarships you may look into, and I wish that there was more of an option for you to be able to utilize ours, but there's no way to determine financial need in that same way unless you have a FAFSA on file with financial aid. Yeah, a question about the difference between study abroad advisors and academic advisors. Yes, study abroad advisors, what we can do is we can talk to you about sort of which study abroad programs will help you with the courses you want to take. So if you come to us and say, hey, I'm a business major and I'm majoring in marketing and I'd like something that's going to like look at marketing, or I'm somebody who like I need to still do my historical inquiry and my religious dimension learning domains. I'm looking for a program that will knock that out for me. We can help kind of look through our programs and identify for you what might be a good fit for you in terms of a study abroad program and how it might help with the courses that you want to fulfill. Your academic advisor is the one who can actually look at your full degree plan for your whole college. And they're the one who you say, hey, I've talked to study abroad. I'm looking at doing this program. These are the courses I'm going to get. Like, does that make sense? And they can sit down with you and look through your whole degree plan and go, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense because, you know, that's going to take care of that class, and that's going to take care of that class, and they can sort of reconfirm, yep, those are ones that you do need. Or if you're doing a longer program where we're looking at the whole set of courses you're going to take, they'll help you identify, yep, these are all the different requirements and where they fit into your degree. So our office will help more in identifying the right programs that might fit your needs, and then your academic advisor sort of confirms that that makes sense in your overall plan to make sure you're still on track for graduation. Yeah, I had a question too about applying for a scholarship as an international student. There's no actual scholarship application. So if you apply for a program, you're automatically considered. But if we don't have financial information from the financial aid office, then we're not able to award scholarships to people who don't have any financial information on file through the financial aid office. Now, for outside scholarships and other scholarships, you can absolutely apply for those. And there are some other DePaul scholarships for certain majors or through certain colleges. And our scholarships page talks about that. And those are oftentimes open to international students. So check out some of those as well. And some of those you may be able to qualify for sure. Within Scholarship Connect or on our scholarship page, we've got a lot of links to those. Let's see, I had a question here about this year versus the future. Yeah, our longer programs, our term long programs, those are programs that generally run every year over and over. So if you check out one of those on our website, you'll see, hey, you know, this program is offered every fall, or this program is offered every winter and spring, or some of them are offered both. And those typically go every year. So you can count on the fact typically that if you're looking at that program, it's going to be offered next year, it's going to be offered the following year. For the short programs, those vary. Some of those go every year, some of them go every other year. It sort of depends on the faculty member and what they are doing in terms of their schedule. So you can look on the website now and see for some of those short programs, you know, oh, look, here's a spring break program that's going this year, or a summer program or a December program. It may run next year at that same time, or it may not. So you can kind of plan a little bit on it, but that's one where get in touch with our office and we can give you a good idea. A lot of those programs, we have a really good knowledge of, oh yeah, this is one that typically runs every year, or this is one that goes on off years. But you can talk to us or just email us if you have questions about how often they're running. Right now, we're not at full strength because of everything happening with COVID. So we do have less programs up on our website than in a normal year. But that basically means that, you know, most everything that's planned now are things that should be hopefully going next year as well. And then as next year approaches, we're going to have more and more as we're hopefully expanding our offerings back up to closer to full strength. Question about applying for both the spring and summer sessions. Yeah, you can apply for a program, one program at any point in our terms. So you can apply for only one program for spring break, but you could also apply for a program for summer or a program for fall. So you could have multiple applications open. You just can't have more than one application open for the same time. So you could apply for 2 different spring break programs. So if you were interested in more than one spring break program, for example, apply for the one that you're most interested in. And then in the application, it will ask you what like your second choice programs or backup programs would be. And that's where you could indicate another one you're interested in. But if you're also interested in summer programs, by all means, start a summer program application as well. And then same thing, if there were multiple summer programs, you can put those backups in your application too. Max, you had a question about a study abroad program in India for the film school. Yes, they do have a really cool short-term study abroad program that normally happens in December. It's not happening this year because of COVID, but the hope is that it will be happening moving forward, hopefully next year or the year after that. So yes, please keep looking on our website. It's typically a December program, which means you would be applying for that program by May 1st. So as the May 1st deadline approaches, that's when you'd be kind of on the lookout for this India Bollywood film program. All right, other questions? You can put it in the chat or also feel free to unmute and just ask a question too if you would like. And once we're done here too, I will also stick around. So if you want to stick around and have a personal conversation, or if a few of you are here and just want to keep chatting, I'm happy to do that as well. Yeah, question on contacting academic advisors for suggestions on trips. Yes, there are a lot of different academic advisors, and some of them have more experience with study abroad than others. So talk to your academic advisor about your intention to study abroad. Some academic advisors will know a lot about that and really be able to counsel you on that. And in certain majors and certain colleges as well, they may have a lot of really helpful information for you on which programs might be a good fit for you. But then also coming to our office to talk to our study abroad advisor is the best way to really get as much information that's more detailed about which programs are the best fit for your major and for the program that you're in. So yeah, definitely start the conversation with your academic advisor, but then make an appointment with us and we can get a lot more in depth about it. Other questions? Yeah, contact info for our office. Yes. First of all, just you can go to our homepage at any point on our website, but I will just I'll put a couple emails in here. So abroad@depal.edu goes to our general study abroad account, and then those can be routed to certain people. I'm also going to put my email address in here. I work with all of the first year programs. So if you're interested in any of the first year programs, I'm the person to reach out to. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one conversation, set up a meeting to chat a little bit. Or if you just have general questions, I can answer those for you as well. And I can also have I can answer a lot of other questions about all the programs that we run as well. Do you have a favorite program? Oh gosh, that's like being asked like, what's your favorite country in the world? And there's just so many. I think one of the cool things about study abroad is that it's different for every student, you know, and you've talked to 10 different students who are studying abroad and they want to study abroad for 10 different reasons, you know. So if you're interested in language learning, there are going to be certain programs where like you're really going to get language exposure. If you're interested in more of an internship opportunity, there's other programs for that. If you're interested in just more of a short experience because you just don't have the time or the bandwidth to be able to be away for 4 or 5 months, then we've got these cool short programs. So it's hard to say a favorite program. I think I just like the fact that at DePaul, we've got a lot of options to choose from that can fit each student's needs in different ways, which is really fun. And it's actually a great part of the advising process when you come to our office as we start to kind of crack open, all right, what are you looking for? What do you want to get? As we start to narrow down, like starting with 80 something programs. And then by the end, being able to say, hey, here's the one program that's the best fit for you. Or like, here are the 3 or 4 programs that are like really great options. And then you have a chance to kind of check them out and say, you know what, I think I'm going to sort of land on this one. I will say, you know, I work with these first year abroad programs. It's a really cool experience for first year students to be able to study abroad. And like I said, not a lot of schools have that. So I think that's a really fun part. of working on these first year programs, you get a chance to meet other students in a really cool way, that you're going to have this really life-changing experience for a week and a half with a whole bunch of other people from your class and a faculty member and a staff member who leads your program. Oftentimes when you do a program later in your time in college, you might get to spend time with those people afterwards, but not as much. But for these first year programs, these students come back and you've got 3 more years at DePaul. And a lot of the students who've done these first year programs, like they've stayed really close friends with a lot of people on their program through these coming years as they are at DePaul. And, in friendships and professional relationships with the faculty and staff member who lead it. I know one of the faculty who leads these first year programs, 2 of the people who are student workers working in her office are people that did her program because they had an amazing experience and then ended up working in that office as their student job while they were here on campus. So, those kind of things are cool when you get to be able to study abroad early in your time at DePaul. What else? Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to stick around. So if you have more questions, please, I'll hang out for a little bit and chat or put some more stuff in the chat box. But thank you all. And we hope that you apply for one of the programs and let us know if you have any questions. Have a good weekend.